also important that AI is not a buzzword, for it's nothing new. It's become extremely popular, but we try with our hearts and our understanding to approach the subject matter. And JC, Jens Christian, will will share his insight, and I look forward to it. Thank you. Great to have you. Hello from my side here in Frankfurt. The first time I speak on a technical conference, and as you heard from the other talks, we have so much vocab in terms of abbreviations and technological systems. I try to calm things down a bit here. In this presentation, I'll talk about artificial intelligence or generative AI. For 1.5 years now, we've got this major buzz here in Germany. The broad population has noticed you can create videos, sound, or also pictures by just pressing a button without any further training. The eye you can see behind me is computer generated. It's done by Sora, which is a video generator by OpenAI, which also did ChatGPT. And when you look at the quality, you can see this is a relevant topic. These sorts of videos were only done by highly qualified people in the past or by companies which were expensive to pay for, like our own agency. And this is what this presentation is about. What is changing? First of all, on myself, Jens Christian, I work for Planet, which is a digital agency, the biggest in Germany. I'm from Berlin. I've been in the agency for 20 years, and privately I love Lego, so if we want to talk about something else here, I'd be happy to do so. And I am in charge, or working in the value chain lab, which means, with many others from the industry, we're trying to understand what's happening out there and what it means for the digital economy. And actually, this presentation is made up of 3 theses, which I will address one by one. A simple one, which I think is easy to accept, then a larger one, which I think where you would maybe agree with me, and then a visionary one where you might say, okay, I don't understand this. The third one is a look into the future. We believe that our communication will change drastically once again, but we'll talk about this in the third thesis. The first one is all content that will be used by service organizations in the future will be generated by a generative AI. So basically all the content that's currently being created will not be done by humans. There's always a great picture at the left. You see a prompt. Give me women laughing with the salad. Midjourney is the tool used for this. Maybe you heard about this. You can easily create an account. It costs $10 or $20 per month, and then you can create images from V1 to V5. It's the different versions of the journey, and you can see over time. It looks like late Renaissance work, but version 5 then looks like a photorealistic photo shooting. And this is what has happened over this time. It's an exponential development, not a linear one. The more people use it, the more technology is being developed, the more processes are out there. Maybe you've heard about the share price of NVIDIA. It's skyrocketing. It's become one of the most valuable stock companies, and they are producing the stuff that we need to create this. But not only pictures, also videos like this one. At the top you can see the prompt. Give me a movie trailer with people with these funny heads on a moon surface, which is supposed to look like this. And maybe one or the other noticed the protagonist doesn't have arms. Nevertheless, out of the box, pretty good video of this one here, which is also totally machine generated, so this person doesn't exist in reality. And if you know your ad movies, these sort of ad movies are very difficult to turn because of the reflections in a city that looks like Tokyo. If you wanted to shoot this in the past, it costs a 6-digit figure, and now I could easily just generate it. The question is, what does it mean for manufacturers, for all the brands represented here who wants to set cycling into or advertise this, show the moment of switching, the moment of you out there with the cargo bike. So this feeling needs to be transmitted, because this is what advertising is. When I can generate something like this, I am just wondering, where is the first bicycle producer who would like to test this? And there are the first companies out there who do that. It's not the future. I'll give you examples in a bit. When you look at this, as a manufacturer, you have to think about what's happening to my brand. I can see Yamaha over there with a relatively big booth or stand, relatively big budget probably too. How can I get this Yamaha feeling into this video so that a user actually says, okay, this is an advertising piece by a brand that I feel attached to. We'll talk about the second thesis here before we look into more examples. So if all of this is possible and the content is being created by a machine, then personalization will become possible at some point. There are the big manufacturers such as Adobe, Salesforce, SAP that create these marketing clouds. And for over 10 years, they have been promising, if you purchase our systems, this one-to-one personalization will become true for you. So every user during the marketing and sales cycle, so whilst looking for a new bicycle over 2 months and then hopefully buying one of yours, and hopefully an expensive one, will be given advertising in different stages. And this is, again, the customer journey. So that means we want to have a frictionless journey. And for this, we need a personalized advertising means, because we know from statistics, and we heard about this in the first 2 presentations, when we analyze data, we see that men often, I don't say always, but often buy differently from women. Different objects are being purchased, different decision making takes place. And when I do one-fits-all advertising, I do not sell as much as I'd like to, so I need personalization. In the past, one had these tools that you can see over here, so-called personalization engines. You can put them onto websites and use that and then you can create different cases and say, okay, if someone briefly before Christmas gets to my website, please trigger this. But if he comes from the north of Germany, for example, you see Dike, and if he comes from the south of Germany, you can see the mountains. I don't know, that's just geo-marketing. And some guy in some job had to manually insert all of this and keep it alive. So a human being makes sure that all of these different variants are possible. And this will be a thing of the past in the future, because with generative AI, I can create an infinite number of contents. So advertising means that I do not have to pre-produce, but I can do in real time. Once someone goes onto my website, when someone opens a newsletter, when he comes by here in real time, goes to a shop, all of the advertising spaces that we saw in Daniel's presentation, all of these POI presentation information can be generated. So thinking about the future, if I get an indefinite number of advertising means, I can also make use of this and use it for personalization. For the companies, thinking traditionally, this means in every company, usually someone is responsible for asset production. You had Photoshop in the past, took the photos, put it on a SharePoint, on a hard drive, and then the colleagues could download it. This person, in the future, will create a pile of pictures with generative AI, and then people can just use them. Or content management, I create my website, build a single page, and then say, okay, cycling in an urban environment, I've got a great picture, family with a cargo bike and the daddy with his race bike. This as a singular website will not exist as such in the future. I will apply data and models and say I build a target, and the website will generate itself. Sounds like future. And it's not about when this will be possible, tomorrow or the day after. It's about taking you on board on this journey so that you get ready for this, because this traditional printing of a brochure on the internet, which was called then a website, is a thing of the past, because it's no longer possible. And someone on the market, one of all of these brands here, will be a pioneer and will understand that they can get better advertising if they do this. And then audience segmentation. The first two presentations responded quite well to this. It's about not only booking reach, for example, paying money to eBay, but also having these reaches within your own ecosystem and using this when you bring out a new vehicle, for example, and you can say, okay, people who fit that bicycle and we haven't bought one for 2 years maybe, because I heard when you buy one road bike, after 2 years usually you buy a second one, you could make use of that. So audience segmentation in the end today is a competency that you often find in companies which in the future will be continued as data-based prompting. So us as an agency for the past 20 years, we've earned quite a bit of money doing this. So we've got our own production department producing content for customers. We're doing photo shootings for big catalogs. We fly down to South Africa and shoot great videos for the automotive industry. As an agency, we are facing a major issue here, because if my theses are correct, then nothing of this will be necessary. And seriously, actually, we are with our back to the wall, the entire service provision industry, and we're trying to turn this around and say, okay, if this is disrupted, we want to be pioneering this. And this is why I've got something here from the engine room for you, namely this here. This is Generate AI. It's not a product you can buy, it's our internal product which we use to disrupt ourselves. And also our customers work. So we also work for brands, often from the automotive sector, also bicycle customers. We've got customers here from the adjoining hall as well. And the topic is how can I use all of these options to create content differently? What does it do to ourselves, to our brand? Is it actually permitted? Will we not get warning letters because we use all of these learning machines that we're not allowed to use? And within these machines, there are different configurations, different tools, different use cases that we apply. And I would like to present to you 2 of them, because you can learn a few things. First thing is product design. This is a machine-generated image. It's not a photo shot by a camera, and this is a demo. The customer would be the manufacturer of this laptop, and Daniel, you just showed it. That was a very good example. How does this image creating AI function? It basically reads everything that I've done in the past and says, okay, I understand this, I make this more dense, and how should I repaint this? This in inverted comma, simply is it. And so you learn from the past, take assumptions, and make it for the future. It's like my children looking at past school exams and then thinking about what could be in the next one. It can work quite well, but if the teacher changes something, you're trapped. So the problem here, well, brand governance means that this laptop is not being touched upon. I must not transfer this to the company. So this computer is not computer generated, but everything around it. And it works as follows. This is the operating interface that we have. I think I've got a laser here. It's not visible. So on the left-hand side where IMG is written, which stands for image, I enter the Acer laptop. Is from the rendering. It's actually CGI data. At the top, I enter a prompt, which is what many of you probably have tried already, and then this background is being created and it's merged. This is a very trivial case. And I chose this deliberately. I'll show you a more complex one in a second. So this is standard. This is not a future. This is what we are currently doing on a daily basis. What's being sold to customers. Nobody will sit down and use Photoshop to create a background. That's a thing of the past. Now we have this topic. This is photo shooting for a manufacturer of clothes. And this actually is a case which can be automated relatively easily when you look at a company which doesn't manufacture only a single jacket, but 100 jackets, 150 trousers for women, men, different sizes, and maybe also intercultural models. And you easily get into a photo shooting setup where you have 4 models. There's one up there, always doing the same movements. So it's always repetitive. And gets out, next one gets in, like on an assembly line, basically showing the same gestures, and then it is processed, and it's basically a planned, like not big art. and I can automate this. And this picture is not real. It's computer generated. You can't really see this at first glance, I think. And here are other examples. This person does exist in real life, by the way. So we took a machine, trained it using real life models, but the guy didn't have to come back. So you notice a job is being lost because the model is only there for training and leaves, and the machine continues on its own. And the machine is set up in the following way. Here you can see these different models. So there's a designer that creates certain poses based on the current vogue, where some are more trendy than others, for example. And then the machine with the model is used. I selected this up there. I also selected the clothes. You can't see that here. That comes in via an interface. But then you simply overlay the clothes. And it's different from a 3D model where you edit a texture. This is now an AI which sort of uses the clothes and imitates it. You can see it here. This is the live preview. And this is also sort of the speed in which this works. On the right-hand side, you can see the sampler that creates it. On the left-hand side, at the top, you can see a small prompt where I can influence what is being put on. And then you've got a massive prompt machine in the background that produces this as a series. You can also see this here. It's probably very easy to distinguish, very simple to distinguish what was the original photo before we created a machine. So just as a tip, the one at the top is the computer generated one. You get a view for this, so the stairs are a bit too large. What is quite interesting with the pullover, because we selected a pullover, because a pullover in the fashion industry is always very difficult. You always have got these fibers, so to speak, and the finer this is, the better the pullover. And it's always difficult to do this with the background, and the machine can do this, simply integrating it into the background. So this is an example where it functions today. This machine is ready to go into serious production. It's for a catalog producer that has the volume. When I have the volume, I can refinance it. Probably doesn't make sense when I have 5 different bikes per year, but might make sense in 4 years because cost is going down, machines are being more and more standardized, there'll be no big architecture projects for us, we can repeat it. So we're currently undergoing a transformation. When you look at the value creation chain, what am I doing in marketing? I have a data platform where I meet people, website, newsletter, all of these experience systems. I have content that I put onto it. I have media in order to increase my reach for us as an agency and also for all communicating companies. All of this undergoes transformation at the moment. So all of these building blocks associated with it currently have an impact from AI. So when I call Adobe for such a value chain system, everything is full of AI. They are investing all of their budget of research and development basically so that their stacks, their technology stacks can enable AI. Those were the first 2 theses, and basically this is already reality depending on where the companies come from. I would say in the bike industry, in the next months, this will also really start off. In the automotive industry, I know the automotive industry is very often pioneering. Their products are a bit more expensive. They are relatively far ahead. But let's look even further into the future. Looking now 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years into the future, we say with our internal research circle, also BVDW and also our agency, we say that there'll be a major shift in terms towards the experience area. How will this information world feel like? Maybe one or the other will remember this. It's a cassette. It's also a piece of information that one had in a Walkman at the moment. That's an agent. It's information being transported. Then there are these things. I talk to them. It's a new sort of interface. It's also an agent. I also have this in my telephone. Basically, this is also an agent and turns me into sort of a cyborg. I look onto this, I've got my functions in there, I have an extended reality, and this will further progress. And I've got a video here from our from the research colleagues from Google. They created a demo video. It's not a product that's already available. It's something that will become available. And let me play this. It'll take about 2 minutes. And then we'll discuss it. I hope it works sound-wise.
I see a speaker, which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AES-CBC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, IV.
That's right. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
What can I add here to make this system faster?
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
Genau. Lang, glaube ich, die Idee zu verstehen.
I think that's sufficient to understand the idea. We saw two products. One, the smartphone. The video basically understands what I say, understands the environment. The second thing is the glasses, and maybe it becomes clear why the Apple Vision Pro is so important at the moment. It's so large and clunky. The quality is really impressive, but it feels like wearing a full face helmet. With these glasses, it becomes clearer what is going to happen. The internet is going to become part of the real world, and via language, it becomes part of my normal interaction. So pointing at things, sort of painting things with my finger, or speaking. Someone will listen in. So this vision from Star Trek with the stuff that you saw at the time, it has become a reality, and the quality is there. And now what's important is in how far is this linked to cycling? Not yet that much, but it's important to look at this now, because this will be the interface of the future. And the question was, where did you see a brand here? Nowhere. Where was content visible that is actually produced by you? I have a second product video here. Just 1 second. I'll start that in a second. This one is an official product video, also from also by Google Gemini. And it's an American product by Google. Of course, they are extremely proud of what's possible there, but it shows the future of the Google search mask. Let's have a quick look, and you'll see the effect that we're going to see as of the future.
I got that swagger, I got the feel, I got that new thing. I got that extra, got the real deal. When I just do my thing, do my thing, do my thing. La, 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 la. I got that hustle, that straight up swing. I got that new thing. Do my thing, do my thing. Stop that, just walk now.
Genau.
Very curious how a 7-day meal in the microwave and healthily will be possible. But anyways, what we see here is the future of a Google search engine. It develops from a search engine into an answers machine. And what wasn't done, despite me getting answers, is the users not going away from Google. A lot of people are doing content marketing, writing texts on certain things that are somehow attached to the product. So I manufacture a bicycle, I want to sell bicycles, so I create texts on panniers, commuting, how can I get my children there, travel tips for the weekend, etc. All of this content has the sole purpose of finding it on Google, getting to your website, and then buying a bicycle. Or registering for the newsletter. This is not going to happen in the future because people will not go away from Google. And then we're facing a real problem. Google, by the way, has the same problem because they earn ad money through the advertising that you generate on their website. And this is no longer going to happen. They don't know how to turn this into money. So it's a major transformation. Google still is a very recent company. Very interesting what's happening there. But as an advertising company, the question is, where do I position my brand and how can you become visible there? So let's complete the third thesis. There will be a massive change in terms of the customer experience. And the question is, how can a brand respond to this? We see a trend currently, or we see a technological development, that's how I'd like to put it. It is the development of so-called AI agents. An AI agent, in the end, is a container that you build yourself to put it into conceptual terms. Your knowledge and what you have can be provided as a service so that others that are part of this experience, that are, for example, using the Google smartphone, that you can insert your information into this. This is what's going to happen in the future. It sounds very abstract at the moment and far-fetched, and the question is how to pay for all of this. We'll see, because I don't know either. But this change is going to happen. And what is also important, there will be no master AI that you can become a part from. There'll be a consolidated world of different AI systems with different components. Those are these multi-agents. So every brand, the big brands will probably start, will build these sorts of AI agents. And the question now is, what do I have to do to build this? There is no technological Fisher-Price toolbox that I can take out, because the issue or challenge is that everything is data-based. That's not too new either. The entire digital economy has been preaching that you should make your data usable, connected, and those who have done this have an advantage now, because this data will become extremely important. It's consumer data, product data, use data, and this needs to be transferred into a new interface. And just a quick recommendation from us here, how to get there in 3 steps. Incremental approach. I'll just leave it on the screen here because I'm a bit over time already. We can discuss this in the panel. If personally you want to talk to me, you can do so. I'm not a big football fan, so I've got a bit of time afterwards. No problem. So many thanks. I think we've got one additional presentation.
Vielen Dank.
Thanks a lot, Christian. Exciting insights, I would say. I would say AI has come to stay, is here to stay, and we from the digital economy are saying this is also a transformation for us. It's another transformation which will not just give some work or food for thought for the digital industry, but also for the whole of society and industry at large. And